All right, let's talk about something that pretty much all of us do. We're diving into the psychology behind why so many of us spend our time online watching and scrolling, but not really posting. Let's get into it. Seriously, think about it. You've got a thought, maybe a great photo, or a reaction to something you just saw. But your fingers just kind of hover there, and then, you just keep on scrolling. If that sounds familiar, trust me, you are not alone. You're actually in the vast, vast majority. That's right, a staggering 90% of social media users are what some people call lurkers. We're going to call them silent observers. These are the people who read, watch, and consume everything, but rarely, if ever, add their own voice to the mix. This isn't just a niche thing, it's how most of humanity experiences the internet. But that word lurking, it has a pretty negative vibe, doesn't it? It sounds kind of passive, maybe even a little creepy. Well, we're here today to completely bust that myth. We're going to dig into the real, active, and super complex reasons why we choose to just watch. And this right here really gets to the heart of it. On the one hand, you have the myth, this idea of a disengaged person just passively consuming. But the reality is so much more interesting. It's an active, internal process. You see, choosing not to post isn't about a lack of interest. It's actually a very deliberate form of participation, and it's driven by some really deep motivations. So, to really understand the why behind the silence, we can actually break it down into a few key personas. We're going to walk through 4 of the big ones, and as we do, see if you recognize a little bit of yourself in any of them. Okay, first up, the information gatherer. For this person, social media isn't a party, it's a tool. It's like having a personalized, constantly updating newspaper or library right in their pocket. They're there to learn, not necessarily to chat. And you can really see that mindset here. It's all about efficiency. They want to cut through all the noise and get straight to the facts. They follow the experts, they value accuracy, and they steer clear of all that online drama. Their goal is simple: get the right info and get it fast. All right, next we have a persona that's driven by something totally different: the cautious protector. This person is hyper-aware that everything, and I mean everything, you post online leaves a digital footprint that could last forever. So for them, silence is basically a form of self-defense.
Yeah, for this person, it really all boils down to control. They're the ones who might actually read the terms of service that the rest of us just scroll past. They're worried about how a random comment today could be taken out of context by an employer 10 years from now, or how their data is being used. So, the safest bet? Just minimize what they share.
Now, our third persona is the socially mindful. And this one probably hits home for a lot of us. This is the person who genuinely wants to connect with others, but they're also incredibly sensitive to the often harsh social world online. That fear of being judged or accidentally starting an argument can be totally paralyzing. So their silence isn't coming from a place of not caring. It's the exact opposite. It's because they care so much. They worry their joke won't land right or their opinion might get misconstrued and hurt someone's feelings. So a lot of the time, they decide the most harmonious and considerate choice is just to say nothing at all. And finally, we have the content connoisseur. Okay, think of this person as the appreciative audience in a world that's just packed with performers. They have really high standards, they love seeing brilliant art, hilarious videos, and amazing writing. The connoisseur's hesitation really comes from a place of respect. They see all this incredible, high-quality stuff out there, and then they look at their own photo of their cat and think, you know what? What can I really add to this? They'd much rather enjoy the curated excellence of others than put out something they feel is just amateur. So whether you're a gatherer, a protector, a mindful user, or a connoisseur, or maybe a mix of all of them, there's this incredibly fast mental calculation that happens in your brain right before you decide not to post. Let's break down that split-second process. It all starts with a little spark, right? An idea. Then, almost instantly, your brain runs this complex simulation. Okay, if I post this, who's going to see it? How will they react? What's the best case scenario? And, oh my God, what's the worst case scenario? You do this lightning-fast risk assessment, and for 90% of us, the conclusion is the same. The potential risks just feel bigger than the rewards. Silence is just the path of least resistance. And once you understand that internal calculation, it leads to a really, really important conclusion. It means we have to completely rethink what it even means to participate online. Because the entire digital world is shaped not just by the 10% who are posting, but by the 90% who are watching.
Think about what that means. Your views, your clicks, the amount of time you spend on a page, all of it sends a powerful signal to the algorithms. The silent majority is who collectively decides what goes viral, what gets promoted, and which trends catch on. Observation isn't passive at all. It's like the invisible hand that guides the entire culture of the internet.
And that kind of leaves us with this final big thought. In an online world that is constantly screaming at us to be seen, to share, to perform, there is a quiet, immense power in choosing to simply watch. So the next time you find yourself scrolling without posting, remember, you're not just lurking, you're participating in a way that's complex, deliberate, and deeply human. Thanks for being a thoughtful observer with me today.